Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the live stream. How we doing tonight? Dan, Tap My Life, Patrick, how we doing? Flabberuzu, how we doing? I don't know if I pronounced that right, but welcome to the live stream, guys. We're going to talk about this slate tonight, where we have a bunch of value with the Golden State Warriors open up some fun star scrubs builds for us. So we're going to do our game-by-game breakdown on DraftKings. As always, we'll talk about some FanDuel to round things out, talk about some pricing discrepancies in general. Certainly going to be loading up on some Golden State value on both websites tonight, I can promise you that much, because with there being no Steph Curry, with there being no Klay Thompson, with there being no Bielitsa, etc., going to be a lot of minutes, a lot of usage to go around there. So definitely going to get that. Nobody ever does. All right, give me the, how do I say that? Flabrezu. I don't know, man. Flabrezu? That would be my guess. But regardless, thank you for tuning into the stream. I got you. If you got any questions, I'm going to help you out. Sorry, I can't pronounce the name there, but if you can somehow put the pronunciation in the chat, I'll do my best. But yeah, guys, let's talk about it. We got a 7-gamer on this slate. We got a bunch of injury news already breaking. We are waiting on some more stuff, most notably Nikola Jokic still listed as questionable. That is a big piece of news, obviously, because he dominates the entire usage on that Denver Nuggets squad. So if he is out, that is a very big thing, because there's going to be a lot more usage, a lot more minutes to go around. So we'll talk about that as we go along here. But for the time being, we're feeling pretty good. We're locked in on this slate, ready to break it down, guys. As always, sponsor of the program is PrizePicks. If you haven't signed up for PrizePicks, go ahead and do so using that promo code KJK DFS. Also, link below in the description. You can use that link to sign up. I can put that in the chat as we go along here as well. But I've been providing some more PrizePicks content, so if you found me through that, I also do cover DraftKings and FanDuel. I know a lot of you guys have been following along the way, so I appreciate your support. And let's break it down, guys. Let's break it down. Let's do game by game here. New Orleans Pelicans taking on the Detroit Pistons. First game on the slate. Brandon Ingram listed as questionable. Josh Hart already listed as out. Big piece of news here, because if there is no Brandon Ingram, going to be a lot more usage to go around for a Nickeil Alexander-Walker. A Garrett Temple will get a lot more minutes, will be a lot more usage to go around. So that is a big piece of news that we are currently waiting on. As of now, my understanding is we still don't have that. I got my little alert system up here on my phone. So I don't think we still have that news, so we will be waiting on that. But overall, this game isn't exactly the best game environment. Not the worst either. It's a 216.5 over-under, 1.5 point spread in favor of the Detroit Pistons, so expected to stay close at least, which is obviously step one in today's NBA. It seems as if the spread is close. It doesn't even matter because of the blowouts. It's been a crazy year of a lot of blowouts, so hopefully this game does stay close. Obviously, if you're targeting a game, you would prefer that it does stay close, so we're hoping that that is the case. But as far as guys that I'm looking to on DraftKings in this one, once again, it will kind of depend on that Brandon Ingram news. I can tell you right now, Nickeil Alexander-Walker at 5,200 is grading out as a pretty great play for me. I've got him projected to play a lot of minutes here, though. For the time being, if that Ingram news comes out and doesn't quite go the way that I'm anticipating and he gets ruled in or something, that could change around. But at a 5.2 price tag right now, I've got him projected to play around 31 minutes. If he does, going to be a phenomenal play. So he's going to be the very first guy that I would be looking to in this game tonight, followed up by a Devontae Graham. Devontae Graham at 5.5, I think regardless of this news, looking like a pretty great play just based upon the price tag. We already got confirmation that there is indeed no Josh Hart, which should give him a bump up in usage here. So I do think Devontae Graham at 5.5, priced very reasonably. Going to go out there and play, right around 30 minutes, putting up 0.86 DK points per minute on the season. That's certainly enough to get the job done at this current price tag. So I do like Devontae Graham quite a bit here. And then depending upon how this news breaks, we could have some more interest. Running it back on the other side with Detroit, it's become pretty simple for me overall, to be honest with you. I'm really only looking to one guy for the most part. But I will say Kelly Olynyk at 5.2 actually surprisingly grading out as a nice play for me here. At that 5.2 price tag right now, made his return the last couple times out. He's played 22 and 19 minutes. I've only got him projected for right around that 20-minute mark, but still grading out as a decent value for me at it. Now, don't get me wrong, with the minutes limitation and stuff, you're really relying on some big production in a small amount of minutes. But, I mean, this is a guy who we saw go out there play 22 minutes in a recent game and put up 45 DraftKings points. So he has the ability to do so. He likes to launch those three-pointers where you get the three-point bonus on DraftKings. So I think Kelly Olynyk's a decent play, but the main guy you're looking to target, as always, really is going to be Cade Cunningham at 8.1. The only other thing is, though, with there being Jeremiah Grant back in the equation, kind of a big thing. I mean, Jeremiah Grant's been out for quite some time now, expected to return, hasn't played since December. So that's going to kind of cut into the usage and the minutes for all of these Detroit guys. So for that reason, not too intrigued to be going here outside of those main candidates that I talked about there. And overall, my exposure probably would be light on the Detroit side, and have a lot more interest on the New Orleans Pelican side, especially if there is indeed no Brandon Ingram in this one. So keep your eyes on that news. Second game on the slate, we have Washington taking on Milwaukee. This game comes in right now with a 230 over-under 11-point spread in favor of the Washington Wizards. So expected to probably be a blowout, most likely. Milwaukee expected to win this one pretty easily. The biggest piece of news for us in this one is that there is no Bradley Beal. Obviously, that's a big deal. No Bradley Beal, that's going to be a big bump up in usage to a Kyle Kuzma and a Spencer Dinwiddie. They both look like much better plays when Bradley Beal's not in the equation. The usage goes way up, and the upside is going to be a lot better. So I do think that Bradley Beal being out, obviously, big piece of news. So I just want to cover that. And those are the first two guys you're really going to be looking to in this game. Spencer Dinwiddie becomes a much better play at only a 5.9 price tag. He's going to be a big priority for us. And someone that I would certainly encourage you to be playing a lot of, because he's grading out as, a really great play in my projection model here. And overall, these Washington guys are just going to be pretty awesome plays. We're also seeing a bit of a bump up to a Denny Avdija at 3.8 here. So I do think he's an interesting option that you could be looking to in your tournament lineups at only a 3.8 price tag. I think he's going to get a lot of minutes here, and he does get a bit of a bailout, I would say, if the game does turn into a blowout. I don't tend to think they're going to pull Denny Avdija off the court. So he's one of those guys that's priced at a lower price range. It doesn't take quite as much for him to get you there if it does turn into a blowout. And if it does, I think he probably gets some extended run here. So never mind targeting those type of players in a blowout. And the other guy that you have to talk about here is a Thomas Bryant. Thomas Bryant is only 3.5 on DraftKings. Once again, kind of limited minutes. Similar to a Kelly Olynyk that we just discussed, where the minutes aren't there, but the fantasy point per minute production is really, really good. Putting up 0.96 DK points per minute on the season. I've got him projected to play right around 20 minutes. Worth taking some shots on in tournaments. Is he a big priority for me on this slate? No. But just someone I wanted to mention. If you do want to get some exposure there in your tournament lineups, if you're playing a bunch of lineups, there's a bunch of guys that kind of look like decent players overall. We're also going to see a lot of Corey Kispert in this game, who's priced very cheap as well. Not a very good fantasy point producer is the problem, but at only a 3.3 price tag, I've got him projected to play right around 28 minutes in this one. With the Bradley Beal news, he's been playing 20-25. If he can get up there to that 28 minutes mark, he only puts up 0.62 DK points per minute, but the fact of the matter is his price tag's all the way down to 3.3. So it might be worth exploring in your tournaments once again. So a couple guys that I named there for the Washington squad. The most obvious ones, I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie's the obvious one. Really going to be a good play with there being no Bradley Beal. But then also Kyle Kuzma at 7.4 is a guy you're really, really going to want to play here, because he's seen his price tag climb all the way up into 8K range when he was really on a streak there. The guy's shown that he has 50-plus fantasy point upside every time he takes the floor practically, even with Bradley Beal in the equation. Now you take Bradley Beal out of the equation, going to be a lot more usage to flow to him. So the Washington side certainly do have interest in. Running it back on the other side, like I said, this is a 230 over-under, so expected to be a pretty decently paced game here. The only problem is the blowout, so it's a little bit scary. Like, Giannis should just absolutely smash here, but as always with Giannis, the question is how many minutes does he play in games that get away from his team? He might not be in there for his full allotment of minutes, and for that reason, I might want to be prioritizing some other studs on the slate. Don't get me wrong, it's a scary fade, though. If you're playing multiple lineups, it kind of makes it easy on you, because you can just kind of, get some exposure to Giannis and get some exposure to the other studs and not sweat it too much. If you're playing limited lineups or if you're playing one lineup, it's scary, man. It's scary with Giannis, because he can get you there in a half. We've seen him go out there, he'll put up 70 DraftKings points in a heartbeat, and you're really going to regret having him. So, it's a smash spot for Giannis. Really like him. You can make an argument for fading him based upon the blowout, but should really, really like him. My strategy is if I'm fading Giannis, I'm going to go to the secondary guys, Bobby Portis, Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton. Just try to kind of load up on them and assume that, the game does turn into a blowout. And, or Giannis just doesn't have the biggest game, and these guys are priced at a cheaper discount, and they could have a big enough game at their respective price tags to actually pay off for you in your tournament lineups. So my favorite, if I'm going to someone, would be Drew Holiday. At his 7.7 price tag, you get a nice discount on him off of Chris Middleton, and also he has a lot of assist upside on top of the scoring upside. So Drew Holiday, if I'm pivoting off Giannis and fading him, I do think is a nice sort of negative correlation to Giannis that you could go to in the hopes that Giannis doesn't have the biggest game. Jrue Holiday gets there. And if you want to do that, it certainly does make some sense from a game theory aspect. Miami taking on Toronto. This is going to be one of the worst games on the slate from a game environment aspect. It's only a 210.5 over under. That is the worst on the slate. So, you know, getting exposure here, you would tend to think maybe not a priority, but when you factor in how these rotations work, both sides really give a lot of minutes to their starters and their main key guys. So for that reason, it makes these guys a little bit more interesting than you would typically think in such a low total. It's just the amount of minutes that they get, the usage that they get. Toronto, Miami. Tyler Hero is the one that pops to the page for me right away. He was a big value play yesterday, and he was a big letdown to a lot of people because he played 29 minutes, only put up 20.5 DraftKings points with there being no Jimmy Butler. But tonight, there's no Kyle Lowry. You get that nice little recency bias thing that I always like to talk about. When guys have bad games, people tend to not really want to play them the next day, and I love to do it because that just means their ownership's going to be a lot lower. I will gladly take advantage of that and load up on some Tyler Hero in this one. And by the way, guys, I just realized you're looking at the wrong screen on this stream. You don't even have my stuff up on the screen, do you? Let's fix that. Hey, there we go, guys. I've been talking along this video. You can't even see the guys on the screen. Apologies for that. Had the wrong display window up, so that should help things. But as we're following along here, yeah, Tyler Hero, really going to be a great play. Because at 6'5", I mean, like I said, there's no Kyle Lowry. He gets a big bump up in his usage. And the fact of the matter is, you know, him having a bad game last night probably has a lot of people frustrated and they don't want to play him. And I love it when that happens because you can get a guy that's in a really phenomenal spot, in a bump up in usage spot, at lower ownership just because people are sort of fed up with the prior performance, and I'm willing to take advantage of that. So I like Tyler Hero a bunch, and the same can be said for Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo. Those three guys all going to be seeing a big bump up with there being no Kyle Lowry, so that's the core that I'm kind of going to be locking in on. As far as anyone else on the Miami side and Toronto, just looking at my projections, I mean, Tyler Hero, definitely the #1 overall play here for me. And after that, it's going to be Bam Adebayo at 8K just based upon his price tag. But the other guy I really want to talk about, this guy has been on fire and his price tag has not been adjusted. That's going to be Gary Trent Jr. Gary Trent Jr. at only a 5.8 price tag, playing, 40 minutes a game. He's had a couple of overtime performances where he went up there for 56, but this guy's playing like 40 minutes a game. He's put up 42, 40, 53, and 46 DraftKings points, absolutely shooting the lights out. And honestly, at this price tag, he doesn't exactly even have to shoot the lights out to get you there, and he has been. So it's kind of a perfect storm. The price tag, the usage, the minutes. Really do like getting some Gary Trent exposure in this one, and those are the top guys I'd be prioritizing. The pay-up options on the Toronto side, they're decent, 9K, 8-7, but I just think there's some other guys in some faster up-tempo games that we might want to be capitalizing on their ceiling. And the one thing that I would warn you against is these guys are negatively correlated, so you're probably only wanting to play one or two of them per lineup. Because they can't all get you there at their ceiling most likely, especially in only a 210.5 over-under. So that's going to be my approach in this one. Moving further along, Orlando taking on Chicago. Next game on the slate, we got the big three in Nikola Vucevic, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, using all the usage on the Chicago Bulls. And they get one of the best possible matchups you could ask for, taking on a Orlando Magic defense that has been one of the worst in the league all season long. They're 26th overall in points per possession rank, looking at my defensive half-court and putbacks tool over here on Patreon. They are 17th in offensive rebounding percentage rank given up as well, and 18th in half-court percentage of plays rank. So they're giving up a lot of points, and they're allowing a lot of plays to be had against them, which is typically a sign of, not good defense and not good offense. There's a lot of transition getting out against these guys, and targeting Orlando has been a thing. Nikola Vucevic, you get a bit of a revenge narrative here, taking on his former team in Orlando, if you want to factor that into your lineups. I don't really know how vengeful Nikola Vucevic is going to be, but regardless, really good spot for him at a 9.3 price tag, is really price friendly. And then Zach LaVine at 8K or 8.8 and DeMar DeRozan at 9.1. Once again, a little bit hard to determine which of these guys is going to have the best game unless, there's an elite defender on the other side and we can kind of take one of these guys out of the equation. If there's an elite defensive center like a Rudy Gobert or something, then it becomes easier to prioritize DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine instead of going to Vooch. In this type of a game environment, though, the Orlando Magic don't exactly have elite defenders. So for me, it's mixing and blending these guys throughout my lineups. As far as my favorite option in my projections right now on the Chicago side, I'm going to have to go with Zach LaVine just based upon that price tag discount that you get off the other guys. He is going to grade out as the best play on the Chicago Bulls. But all these guys are going to be viable, like I said. And really what it comes down to is it's a little bit unpredictable as to who's going to have the biggest game. It's just kind of the fact of the matter. There's a few teams in the league that are like that. You know, a Charlotte Hornets team that we talk about all the time, where you have Bridges, Ball, Rozier, all those guys that have a lot of usage. So it kind of just determines upon the game flow. It's kind of a thing of whoever has the hot hand that night. But getting exposure to these three, they really have a great matchup here taking on an Orlando squad. So would be definitely interested in going to those three. Anyone else on the Chicago Bulls side, not too intrigued. And then running it back on the Orlando side, it's fairly easy to tell where you're going to as well. Their usage is very condensed. It's Mo Bamba, Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter, and Cole Anthony. Once again, though, it's condensed enough to where which of these guys is going to have the big game. But there's a difference between these guys because their price tags are much friendlier than the Chicago side that we just talked about. We're talking about a 6'2 price tag for Wendell Carter, a 6'5 for Cole Anthony. Jalen Suggs is only 5'7. Franz Wagner is only 5'6. So definitely a side that I'm really interested in. Mo Bamba is the first one that really stands out to me at 5'3. That's just a really cheap price tag, and I have him projected to outperform that price tag by a pretty wide margin here in my projection model. He's been playing anywhere from 24 to 30 minutes on average. I've got him projected for 26 in this one, putting up 1.06 DK points per minute. And certainly grading out as a good play for me. Next on the list is going to be Cole Anthony at 6'5". Definitely going to like him a bunch, but don't sleep on Wendell Carter as well. I think those three are going to be my favorite. Mo Bamba, Franz Wagner. I'm sorry, not Franz Wagner. Mo Bamba, Wendell Carter, and Cole Anthony. Those are kind of the three that I'm really looking to lock in on. And then the two valid plays that are a little bit more scoring reliant are Franz Wagner and Jalen Suggs. They have the upside. They're just so reliant on their shot. They don't really rack up those peripheral stats that you need to have a bit higher of a floor. So if you want to go to them in tournaments, I don't hate it. But my top three on the Orlando side is certainly going to be Wendell Carter, Cole Anthony, and Mo Bamba. Next on the list, we have Denver taking on Minnesota. We talked about it, but we really need this Nikola Jokic news. This is huge. Obviously, if he's out, that's a big thing. Not to mention, DeMarcus Cousins is also listed as questionable. So if both those guys are out, we're looking to Zeke Nnaji, JaMychal Green, and Jeff Green to pick up a lot more minutes. If we do see DeMarcus Cousins play in this one without Nikola Jokic, he becomes a really great value play at only 3.4 on DraftKings. He should just absolutely smash at that price tag based upon how good of a fantasy point per minute producer he is. So that's a big piece of news because it could open up one of the top value plays on the slate for us in a DeMarcus Cousins. So, we really got to keep our eyes on that. And if Nikola Jokic is out as well, that's going to give a big bump up in usage to the other Denver guys, most notably Aaron Gordon and Will Barton. They're both going to take a huge leap in my projection model. 5'9" for Aaron Gordon, Will Barton at 5'8". Really going to like these guys if there's no Nikola Jokic. So can't emphasize that enough to you guys. Just keep that in mind. If there is no Nikola Jokic, those guys take a big bump up and would become top priorities for me on the slate tonight in a 229 over-under game with a 4-point spread in favor of Minnesota. Expected to stay close. We already got confirmation on the other side, on the Minnesota side, that D'Angelo Russell, listed as questionable, is expected to play. So he's not officially in, but he is expected to play. So he's going to be back. That's obviously going to take a bit of a hit to a Anthony Edwards and a Karl-Anthony Towns. They're not going to become quite as good of plays as they were without him. Karl-Anthony Towns put up 69 last time. As far as Anthony Edwards, 61 the game before. Had a bit of a down game last time out with Karl-Anthony Towns really dominating. But these three guys soak up all the usage. It's the same thing as we just talked about with the Chicago Bulls. I would just recommend getting 2 maximum in your lineup for exposure. All 3 of them getting there at their ceilings. Pretty unrealistic when the usage has to flow through a couple guys at a time. Not all guys can be scoring points at the same time. When one guy scores, the other guy can't. So for me, I'm going to be getting a maximum of 2 exposure to those 2 guys in my lineups. My 2 favorites based upon the price tags would be Anthony Edwards and D'Angelo Russell. And like I said, it's just a price tag thing. Karl-Anthony Towns is certainly a good play at 9.8, but that's a much more expensive price tag for a group of 3 guys that realistically are all going to grade around, 40, 50 DraftKings points if they all have decent games. And then their ceilings do fluctuate. So for me, it's going to be D'Lo, Anthony Edwards. And we are really waiting on that Nikola Jokic news in this one. The only other thing to mention is Patrick Beverley went to shoot around and he's expected to return. So that's going to impact D'Angelo Russell's assist upside a little bit more. I'm not too sure if Patrick Beverley is going to be limited. He had an ankle injury. He's been kind of rehabbing from that for quite some time. So I'm anticipating that he has a full allotment of minutes here and he's good to go. Just keep in mind, this will be his first game back. So definitely do like that one. Golden State Warriors taking on the San Antonio Spurs. This is where all the value comes, guys. We have no Stephen Curry, no Andrew Wiggins, no Draymond Green, no Klay Thompson, no Otto Porter. That is obviously very relevant. We just took all those guys out of the equation. And what does that mean? That means these Warriors guys are going to be the top plays on the slate for me. Gary Payton, Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, Jordan Poole, Damian Lee, all of which looking really, really good here. Not to mention a Juan Toscano Anderson at only a 3K price tag. So getting lots of exposure to this Golden State Warriors value is something that I would highly recommend here. Top priority for me is going to be Jordan Poole at a 5.5 price tag. You take Klay Thompson off the floor. You take Stephen Curry off the floor. He becomes the point guard. He's going to get all the usage. He's going to have a ton of scoring upside, a ton of assist upside, and he should just absolutely explode in this game. So he's going to be the number one guy that I'm looking to prioritize from this side. Second on the list for me is probably going to be a Jonathan Kuminga at 4K. Priced very friendly. Has not been getting the minutes as of late, but we know what Jonathan Kuminga is capable of when he does. He puts up 0.94 DK points per minute. Jordan Poole, who we just talked about, puts up 0.95 DK points per minute. And some of the other guys that we're going to talk about here aren't quite as good of fantasy point producers. So Moses Moody's expected to get the start. I think that might make his ownership kind of inflated here. Now, don't get me wrong. He's only 3K. He's the minimum salary. So it's going to be really, really difficult for him to disappoint at this price tag. But when you look at his permanent production on the season, he's only a 0.64 DK points per minute guy. Now, obviously, those rates are going to climb with there being all these guys out. I'm not trying to say, he's only going to put up 0.64 DK points per minute as a starter with all these guys out. But the fact of the matter remains, if his ownership is going to be really inflated, I do think that maybe fading him and getting some more exposure to possibly like a Damian Lee off the bench at 3-2 could be a nice way of getting leverage on the field. Because let's say Damian Lee goes out there and drops 30 DraftKings points tonight, and Moses Moody goes out there and puts up like, let's say, 15, 18 or something like that. That could be the differentiator between you becoming, second, third, or first in tournaments. So I do think there's some validity to fading a Moses Moody. It's a scary fade, don't get me wrong, but I do think it's definitely viable. And lastly, don't sleep on Kevon Looney, priced at 4.8. Going to be getting a lot of minutes now, and should have a lot more scoring upside, surprisingly. Typically not a guy that we really talk about for his scoring necessarily, but I mean, you take all these guys off the floor, someone's going to have to score. We already know the rebounding upside's there for Kevon Looney. So now you factor in that all these guys are out. We're probably going to be looking to a lot more points than we typically would see out of a Kevon Looney on a typical night. So for me, Kevon Looney certainly does make a lot of sense on the slate tonight. And overall, you're just going to want to be loading up on this Warriors value, guys, because it is phenomenal value. This is definitely a don't overthink it spot. Just load up on that value. Feel really confident about it. The only thing you should be kind of thinking a little bit hard on is the ownership. Like I said, maybe fading a Moses Moody and going to a Damian Lee off the bench instead of him if he's going to get all that ownership. Kuminga, Gary Payton off the bench as well at 3.5. Not sure if people are going to be going to him too much because he's not starting. I would tend to think that people are going to be going to him. I would hope so. He puts up 1 DK point per minute. He's only 3.5. So loading up on this Warriors value is definitely a good place to go. I just think a general rule of thumb is people get really shy on playing backups in these spots for some reason. They're scared to play look at the Warriors rotation. They literally have 9 guys that they can play tonight. Steve Kerr has not been friendly to us in the past with some of these rotations. He likes to blend things up. Sometimes he'll give these random guys more minutes than we would anticipate. But this is not a spot where I'm worried about Steve Kerr because there's literally only 9 guys available. So I do like targeting Gary Payton and Juan Toscano Anderson off the bench quite a bit. I think their ownership might be a little bit lower than the starters because people don't like to go to the bench guys. Could be wrong on that. Overall, it's kind of a no-brainer spot, so I would anticipate all these guys are very highly owned tonight. as they should be, though. So loading up on those Warriors guys, certainly would highly recommend it tonight. Use that as your value plays. Running it back on the other side with the San Antonio Spurs, DeJounte Murray at 10-1 is the obvious pay-up option on this side. Has been showing a ton of upside. Even though all those Warriors guys are out, we're still only looking at a 5-point spread in favor of the San Antonio Spurs. So Vegas not expecting this game to be a blowout. For that reason, certainly does make some sense to be running it back on the other side with some San Antonio Spurs guys. My favorite two plays based upon the upside at their price tags are going to be Derek White and Keldon Johnson. 6-1 and 5-7 for those two guys. We've really seen the minutes ramp up for these San Antonio Spurs starters. Derek White playing right around 35 minutes a game. Really good fantasy point producer. And then you go down to a Keldon Johnson, who at a 5-7 price tag has been playing, borderline 40 minutes every single game. So for me, definitely have a lot of interest in Keldon Johnson and Derek White, Jakob Poeltl, and DeJounte Murray. I mean, those four guys are really where all the heart is of these San Antonio Spurs. That's where the usage flows. That's where all the minutes are. So it's kind of a don't overthink it spot on the San Antonio Spurs side of things. And I certainly do like getting a lot of exposure to like I said, a Keldon Johnson and a Derek White, just based upon their price tags. The only thing I would say is with the way that our lineups are probably headed towards being constructed with all this Golden State Warriors value is you might not land in the mid-range here. You might be kind of going like full scrubs or stars and scrubs, which if that happens, don't feel bad about it. I certainly would approve of that build. If you don't land on a Derek White and Keldon Johnson because of that, you're certainly not crazy. So, all right, guys, we got 20 people in here, only 9 likes. If you're enjoying this stream, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload. And I promise you, if you have any questions, I will get to them. Just want to make sure we complete this game-by-game breakdown. And we'll be talking about FanDuel as well. Patrick Flabberuzzi. Warrior, how we doing, man? Getting exposure to Moody from the Warriors? Yeah, like I just said, he's minimum salary. It certainly makes a lot of sense to me. Just overall, he's not the best fantasy point producer, so I do think he's valid to fade tonight as well. But it's a scary fade. It's a scary fade. Don't get me wrong. A minimum salary guy that's going to get that many minutes, you're definitely not in the wrong if you want to load up on him. So, yeah. Leroy says, Brooklyn Phoenix game should be a lot of fun. Yeah, for sure, man. We're going to talk about it right now. This is one of my favorite games on the slate. Absolutely love this game. Dan says, I want my money back. I think that was a joke for my my screen not being up. But, yeah, man, we'll get it back to you. That was my bad, guys. Started the screen. We didn't have the play-by-play on the screen. But we're good to go now. And this game, guys, going to really love this game. We talked about having all that Golden State Warriors value. Where are we paying up for? We talked about Giannis. Going to like him a lot. But the 4 studs in this game, I'm going to be having a lot of exposure to. James Harden, Chris Paul, Kyrie Irving, Devin Booker in a fast, up-tempo game here. The total comes in with a 230 over-under. It's a 6-point spread in favor of the Phoenix Suns. Nationally televised game on TNT. All the usage flowing through these 4 guys. I'm going to be loading up on all 4 of them. And really do like them tonight on this slate. We have so much value. Getting all 4 of them in your lineup shouldn't be too much of an issue. And honestly, if you can, I really don't hate it. Chris Paul last 2 times out, 64 and 63 DraftKings points. Absolutely phenomenal. Devin Booker at 9.5 has taken a bit of a backseat the last 2 times out with Chris Paul having those big games. But even with that being said, he's still put up 29 and 28 real-life points, and he's put up 49 and 37 DraftKings points. And I think this is a spot where these 2 guys can really reach their ceilings, and the same can be said for James Harden and a Kyrie Irving. There continues to be no Kevin Durant. All the usage is going to flow through Kyrie Irving and James Harden. And like I said, with all that Golden State Warriors value, I really do think it could be a smart approach to be using all that value to get up to the studs in this game. And that's going to be kind of where my head's at on this slate tonight. I really like doing that. I would highly suggest that you guys do the same. These guys grading out as some of the top scorers in my projections right now. Really like James Harden. Really like Kyrie Irving especially. Those 2 guys just look phenomenal. And Devin Booker, Chris Paul, not too far behind them. And then when you factor in the price tags are not expensive enough to get me away from these guys. So love James Harden. Love Chris Paul. Love Kyrie Irving. Love Devin Booker. And then you can definitely mix in some secondary options on the Phoenix side because Phoenix is still pretty short-handed. On the Brooklyn side for me, the secondary guys are interesting tournament options, but I'm not too intrigued. We've seen Patty Mills have 2 big games, 37 and 46 DraftKings points, but that was in large part due to the fact that there was no James Harden. He's been out for quite some time now. Now James Harden is returning to this roster, so for me, that's going to be a no. Jay Crowder's listed as questionable in this one. That's actually a really big piece of news because if Jay Crowder's back, that's going to cut into the minutes of a Cameron Johnson, who we've been seeing play a lot of minutes as of late and getting a lot of usage at a 5.4 price tag. He's put up 41, 18 DraftKings points the last 2 times out. And he would once again be a really great value play if there is no Jay Crowder. If Jay Crowder's in, that really does affect him. And then as far as the center position, DeAndre Ayton's listed as questionable. Once again, a very big piece of news. He was listed as out and he got upgraded to questionable. So for me, that sounds pretty promising for him to return, which is obviously really going to affect the Bismack Biyombo exposure that we're really going to have here. And that's kind of my approach in this one. But really like the 4 studs in this one. Mikal Bridges is playing a lot of minutes as well. He's not the best fantasy point producer. We've seen him have big games. He put up 40 DraftKings points last time out. But in, general rule of thumb, I just think it's really smart to be loading up on the 4 studs in this game and then using the value elsewhere. We have all that Golden State Warriors value. I don't think it's necessary to be getting too cute with your value on this slate when you have an entire Golden State Warriors team out. And when you're looking at their implied team total, I mean, they're expected to score a 107 implied team total out of a combined 9 guys. So for me, loading up on that Golden State Warriors value for sure. Being able to pay up for all the studs in the slate is the way to go in this one. It's a no-brainer. James Harden, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Kyrie Irving in this last game, I really do like, though. And then, obviously, getting up to a Giannis. If Nikola Jokic is in, he's going to be a phenomenal option at 12.5. We need confirmation on that, though. Karl-Anthony Towns takes a bit of a back seat now with there being Patrick Beverley, D'Angelo Russell back. I think that's going to take away from his usage. So, for me, really like Giannis, really like Jokic if he's in, really like James Harden. And those 3 studs should be very easy to be getting to if, indeed, there is no Nikola Jokic. Obviously, I'm going to have a lot more interest in the Denver guys that we talked about. Will Barton and Aaron Gordon, they're going to take a big leap to the top of my list. We'll be getting a lot of exposure to those guys. But if Nikola Jokic is in, really going to like him. Out of these 3 guys, my top fade would probably be Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I don't feel confident in saying that. The only reason I even say he's my top fade is because when you look at the spread in this game, the spread it's an 11-point spread. There's no Bradley Beal. There's a strong chance this game gets out of hand and that Giannis Antetokounmpo doesn't get his full allotment of minutes. So for that reason, I'd be willing to fade him. But once again, not saying that with confidence. Giannis against a Washington Wizards team that's really bad defensively is not a fade I'm feeling too thrilled about. But I think he can take the discount off that 12,000, go down to James Harden, and James Harden can match his score tonight as well for that reason. So, yeah, if Nikola Jokic gets ruled out, then it becomes pretty obvious. James Harden, Giannis Antetokounmpo are the top 2 plays in the slate for pay-up options, true pay-up options. That'd be my approach there. Isaac says, do you think Mikal Bridges is a sneaky play since he will have to guard Irving or Harden? I like Mikal Bridges a lot more on FanDuel where you get the 3 points to the blocks and steals. He is traditionally a really good defender that gets a lot of blocks and steals. On DraftKings for me, it's a lot more difficult to talk me into Mikal Bridges, though. So on FanDuel, I think your reasoning is definitely valid. On DraftKings, I wouldn't be leaning too heavily on that. Keith says, love me some Kuzma tonight. Absolutely. Yeah, man. Kuzma with no Bradley Beal, definitely a really great play. So I definitely would approve of that. And we're going to talk about some FanDuel, guys. If you're just tuning into the stream, if you're liking this content, we got 27 people in here, only 10 likes. Hit that like button, guys. If we can get that up to that 27 number, that would be awesome. Really do greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. And if you have any questions, please do ask them in the chat. I promise I will get to them. We're going to talk about this FanDuel slate as well, the pricing discrepancies, the positionality. And if you're getting really serious about NBA DFS, go ahead and sign up for my Patreon packages, guys. I just released a brand new one, the KJK DFS NBA combo package, along with the KJK DFS NBA prize picks package. So if you're a prize picks player, more into the player props, I have a projection system designed specifically for that. It's going to go ahead and break down all the stats individually. Things like points, rebounds, assists, all that stuff. Much more detailed rather than the salary format that we deal with the NBA package. But if you want to go ahead and load up on both of them, you can get both of them at a discount for the NBA combo package. You'll get access to both in all of those sheets. So I would highly recommend you check that out and sign up for Prize Picks using that promo code KJKDFS as well. I'll be doing Prize Picks content on the channel daily, helping you guys out over there. And let's talk about some FanDuel. My boy Tat My Life, he's always patient in the chat. I know, Tat. We always break down the slate on that DraftKings app, and then we talk about your site, FanDuel. I know you're about the FanDuel life, so I got you. Don't worry. We're going to be able to get into it pretty quickly is the thing, though, because once we break down DraftKings, FanDuel is much more simplified. You know what I mean? You get one center, 2 power forwards, 2 small forwards, 2 shooting guards, 2 point guards. It's a much more simplified format, so that's why I do these videos the way I do. FanDuel is pretty easy to get through pretty quickly. We can talk about the priorities at each position. So let's do that. Let's talk about it. We got, first of all, Moses Moody and Gary Payton, 3-8 and 3-5 on FanDuel. Once again, I talked about this, but this could be a very pivotal spot on FanDuel because most likely your approach on FanDuel at the shooting guard position is going to be to pay down for one of those guys and then pay up for a James Harden at that same position and or a Kyrie Irving or a Devin Booker. Three really, really good plays there at the shooting guard position, not to mention Zach LaVine. So nailing your cheap shooting guard value play could really go a long way. And once again, on a site like FanDuel where you get the 3 points for the blocks and steals, if everyone's going to be playing Moses Moody at 3-5, I do think there's a lot of validity to be fading him and going to a Gary Payton at 3-8. Gary Payton is really phenomenal at getting lots of blocks and steals. You get the 3 points for the blocks and steals on FanDuel, and I think he could outscore Moses Moody in this spot. So if you want to pivot, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Moses Moody is a bad play, but strictly from a game theory aspect, I do think this is an interesting spot to be going to, and certainly do like that. But overall, I mean, the value is phenomenal here. Jonathan Kuminga at 4-4. We're going to want to be loading up on him at the small forward position. Traditionally on FanDuel, small forward is a position where I love to pay down for some value if I can because we really want to prioritize paying up at those power forward and center spots most likely. A lot of times on FanDuel, there are centers that have power forward eligibility, which is making me want to play those guys in my power forward spots. It essentially allows you to play 3 centers in your lineups, which I love capitalizing on. Jonathan Kuminga, 0.91 FanDuel points per minute. Going to absolutely love him. And Jordan Poole, 5-3. I mean, one of the top plays on the slate. It goes without saying. But Jordan Poole, Jonathan Kuminga, going to be my top 2 priorities over here on FanDuel. Wanting to load up on those guys for sure. But speaking of that center power forward eligibility, Kevon Looney. Kevon Looney has power forward eligibility. He's going to look like a really great player here at a 4.9 price tag. Like I said, I would expect the scoring to ramp up, the minutes to ramp up, all of the above for a Kevon Looney. So I really do like him at this 4.9 price tag on FanDuel. Obviously, loading up on these Warriors guys is the key. And then my top pay-up options. Well, we already talked about it. But, I mean, I really want to load up on the fast up-tempo games with studs in it. So, one, Giannis. Giannis at 11K against a Washington squad. Really going to like it. But Kyle Kuzma at 7.2, priced in the mid-range. You know, a guy that's going to take on all the usage with no Bradley Beal. He put up 50-plus FanDuel points last time. I would anticipate there's a high likelihood that he can do that again in this one. So Kyle Kuzma, going to be a priority for me. Spencer Dinwiddie at the point guard position. We talked about it. No Bradley Beal. He's only 6'3". With the usage bump that he gets with no Bradley Beal, it's a big, big deal. This 6'3" price tag is too cheap. So he's going to grade out as a really good play for me. So, yeah, guys. I mean, loading up on this... Loading up on this value, the teams with guys being out, and then loading up on the studs is the way to go over here. My top pay-up options, James Harden, you know, great play. Kyrie Irving, great play. Devin Booker, great play. I talked about it in that last game. Really going to like those guys. I like the Chicago guys as well. DeMar DeRozan at 9.1, Zach LaVine at 8K. And then at the point guard position, Chris Paul at 9.5. Really going to like him. Talked about it in that last game. And taking a discount on some of these Orlando guys, if you want to go there, I don't hate it. Cole Anthony at 7K, he's priced very, very cheap. Mo Bamba's priced very cheap over here as well. We talked about that already. He does only have center eligibility, where you can only play one center, so that can get a little bit dicey, a little bit scary at times. You know, locking in that one center position on a Mo Bamba when you could go up to some other really great plays, like possibly a Nikola Jokic if he's in, like a Nikola Vucevic taking on a very bad defensive Orlando Magic team, like a Bam Adebayo. With there being no Kyle Lowry in this one, should see more usage. Really good fantasy point producer. Like a Wendell Carter. Speaking of revenge narratives, I mean, taking on his former team in Chicago. I didn't even touch on that. Wendell Carter shipped out of Chicago to the Magic. You don't think he wants to play with a little bit of a chip on your shoulder? Chip on his shoulder. I think you're wrong there. So I think Wendell Carter has a little bit of added incentive tonight. And really does look like a great play as well. So, yeah, I mean, Bobby Portis at 6K is another guy. Really, really good play. That price tag's too cheap. He's come back down to earth as of late. Only 16 and 17 FanDuel points the last 2 times out. I would not let that deter you from playing him. Once again, this is a situation with a guy that's a very good fantasy point producer. And if everyone else is frustrated with him and doesn't want to play him, I will be loading up on him. Do not let these performances, you know, talk you off of these guys. Traditionally, Bobby Portis is a really good fantasy point producer. Let's see, on average, my sheet grading out as one of the best plays on the slate. 1.08 FanDuel points per minute on the season. 1.08 FanDuel points per minute on the season. If I'm going to get him low owned at a 6K price tag, I'm going to be taking that to the bank. I know he hasn't had good games the last 2 times out, but got to take advantage there, guys. And yeah, I feel like I did a pretty good job there on FanDuel. It's pretty simple. I mean, like I said, I really like those top pay-up options, loading up on that Golden State Warriors value. It's a pretty straightforward slate. Kyle Kuzma, Spencer Dinwiddie, really great plays. Keldon Johnson at 6'1", Derek White, we talked about them both being priced very reasonably on the Spurs side of things in that Warriors game, so I do like both of those guys. But, yeah, guys, I think we did a pretty good job of breaking this slate down. If you have any questions, please do ask them in the chat. I will gladly answer them. This is when I kind of get to the questions part of the program. I'll be hanging out here for another 15 minutes if we have questions flowing in. Then I'm going to be heading over there to the Patreon package for my premium members and updating the core plays, the projections, all that fun stuff, and answering questions in the Discord chat. So if you are interested in that, go ahead and check that out, guys. Link below in the description. I'm also going to put that link in the chat just to make it easy on you guys if you want to sign up. And I'll also put the sponsor of the program link, Prize Picks. If you haven't signed up on Prize Picks, if you use my link or if you use promo code KJK DFS, you will receive an instant match deposit up to $100. So, yeah, guys. If you have any questions, please ask them. We're at the questions portion of this program, so I'm going to be doing it while we are answering questions. Going to be taking a second to thank my current patrons, putting your guys' name up on the screen. I'm going to have to update this with the new month. We do have some new patrons over there, so I will be adding you guys to this list. I promise. Thank you for signing up today if you did. I know we had a couple of signups, so I'll be getting your name up on this Patreon members screen to acknowledge you and appreciate your support. Some questions. J-Val Sneaky. Yes, I do think J-Val is a decent play overall, so if you want to go to him, he could have some lower ownership than he should. So I do like J-Val. Is J-Val a good play in DraftKings or FanDuel? Jigga says yes once again. I think he's a pivot. I do think there's some other better options from a projection aspect, but JV has the ability to go out there and put up 50+ on any given night. So we know we've seen it in the past from him. So he's more of a tournament play for me, but I do think he's a good play. And the fact of the matter remains, Jonas Valanciunas always grades out as a good play for me. Honestly, he always does. His price tag's always in that range where he puts up 1.27 DK points per minute on the season. I've got him projected for 31 minutes right now, and he's taking on a Detroit squad. When looking at my defensive half-court and putbacks tool for the Detroit Pistons, you can see that they're 24th overall in points per possession rank, 28th in half-court points play, and they're 18th in offensive rebounding percentage given up. So not exactly an elite defense in the Detroit Pistons. So if you want to go to J-Val, I'm not going to be the one to talk you off him. I do think there's some better options with some value and stuff, or in paying up for Nikola Jokic if he's in, but we still need a confirmation that he is in. But yes, J-Val does grade out as a good play. Absolutely. Joseph asked, do you do super draft projections? I don't have super draft projections yet, unfortunately. It's something that I'm trying to dial in on the back end. I just have to find out a way, well, not find out, but it takes a lot of time to put together all my projection models, all my sheets, all that stuff, and get them flowing up. If you have been a Patreon member of mine in the past and you see my sheets and you see all of the data that goes into it, there's a lot of good stuff, guys. And let's just say this. I didn't build that overnight. It takes a lot of work to do that. So I am working to get those super draft projections into my system. I do not have them yet. I do have DraftKings and FanDuel projections that you could apply and then kind of glance at those super draft multipliers, which is what I'm currently doing right now. That's kind of how I'm building my lineups. Less than ideal, but I am working on getting that added into the equation, Joseph. So hopefully I'll have those up, sooner rather than later. I don't know if I'll be able to get to it this NBA season. I hope I can. They're a sponsor of the program. I'm actually working at Super Draft to do some more fun stuff for you guys, too. I got some surprises up my sleeve, which I'll be launching. Well, actually, I can just tell you right now. Super Draft, I'm going to be doing a Super Draft Saturday where I'm going to have an exclusive contest for KJK DFS Super Draft Pro members. So if you sign up through my Super Draft Pro link below in the description, and you become a Super Draft Pro member through me, I'm going to be having an exclusive contest that you can join, and you're going to be winning all sorts of different prizes. So, check that out if you're interested, because I'm actually really excited about that. I'm going to launch that this Saturday. We're going to have a exclusive KJK DFS Club contest where you can only sign up through that link, but I'm going to be giving away stuff. I think I'm going to be giving away a free KJK DFS t-shirt for every contest for the time being. If you guys have any ideas for some prizes, but I do have a merch store. If you didn't know, that's linked below in the description. I don't think a lot of people know that. So I feel like it'd be cool to be giving away some free merch. If you think that's a good idea, say great idea. If you don't, you have a better idea, let me know in the chat. Open to anything, but we're going to be launching that contest, and I'm going to be giving away some prizes to whoever comes in first there. Flabberoozu says, favorite small forward pay-up option. If you could tell me the website you're on, man, that would help me a lot. Let's just go to DraftKings and pull up the small forward spot. And if I had to pick on, definitely Zach LaVine on DraftKings. Brandon Ingram is available to play. That news just came through. So Brandon Ingram's in, guys. So that's going to make me not like Jonas Valanciunas as much. Not like those other Pelicans guys quite as much, to be honest with you. He's going to kind of do a lot of their usage now. So best mid-range center on FanDuel. Best power forward pay up. All right, I got you, Tat. One sec. Best mid-range center. Let's see. Best mid-range center on FanDuel. In the mid-range, I think you got to be having a lot of interest in Bobby Portis. He does have small power forward and center eligibility, and the same can be said for Wendell Carter. Really do like both of those guys. As far as mid-range for center-only eligible guys, it would be Mo Bamba for me. So, yeah, it's Mo Bamba, number one from center-only eligibility, but I really do like Wendell Carter and Bobby Portis. But they have power forward and center eligibility, so you can slot them into that power forward spot as well. And then don't forget about Kevon Looney. Kevon Looney's not exactly mid-range, but he's 4'9". The Warriors are dealing with all those injuries. He's going to have a lot of rebounding upside and a lot more scoring upside than he typically would on your average night. So I like Kevon Looney as well. Best power forward pickup that's not Giannis. Let's talk about it. Power forward, not Giannis. It's going to be Bam Adebayo as far as like a quote-unquote pay-up option, but I do like Kyle Kuzma a lot. He does have small forward and power forward eligibility. But best pay-up option outside of Giannis, it's going to be Pascal Siakam, obviously, if you're talking about like pay-up option. But I would prefer Bam Adebayo at his respective price tag. So for that reason, I would lean you in the direction of going Bam Adebayo there. DraftKings, yeah. On DraftKings, definitely Zach LaVine for a pay-up option at small forward. Joseph says, sounds great to me. Yeah, man. So I'm going to be launching that Super Draft Saturday segment this Saturday, guys. So I'm going to have an exclusive contest. It's going to be limited to about 25 entries. So if you don't get in, you don't get in. And the link for that contest is going to be launched on Friday night going into Saturday, because obviously we have to wait for the salaries and the multipliers and all that stuff to drop on all these websites. So the multiplier metrics and all that stuff on Super Draft won't drop until that Friday, Saturday night. So then I'm going to be making a big announcement on my videos. I guess I'll be reminding you guys throughout the week. But I guess I can pull it up on the screen. Just a reminder, to get in that Super Draft Pro contest to win that free KJK DFS t-shirt, you got to become a Super Draft Pro member of mine. And you can only get into these exclusive free contests by becoming a Super Draft Pro member. So how you would do that is you go through my link down below. You click Access Free Contests. When you do, it'll recognize that you've been referred by me. And it'll give you the options of going with the free and fun pass, the basic pass, the premium, or the elite pass. You get free and exclusive stuff with all these passes. The best value is the elite pass for $100. If you're playing DFS every night, I would highly recommend you go with the elite. If not, you're more of a casual player, you can go down to the basic, the free. More of a mid-range, go to the premium. Obviously, they have a package for everyone. But signing in and seeing, you'll see you're referred by me, Kyle Kemp. For those of you that didn't know my real name, KJK DFS is what you call me, but that would be my name. Click that submit button, and you can become a coach for only $40 annually. You'll get your own link where you can refer people and make your own commissions on Super Draft, but you can also become a player. Once you sign up for that link, I see that you signed up. You're going to be in the system, and then you'll be qualified for that contest. And once again, that is going to be exclusive only to Super Draft Pro members, and I'm going to be giving out a bunch of prizes on that. We're going to start out with a free KJK DFS t-shirt. Maybe I'll be throwing some cash prizes your guys' way as well. It's going to be a fun community building thing where I can give back to you guys for your support, and we can have fun tracking our scores together and stuff. And Super Draft actually has a really cool interaction, live interaction feature when you're in the contest. You can be chatting it up with everyone that's in that contest. So it's going to be a community building thing. I'm really looking forward to it. We can kind of chat it up, maybe talk some smack about who's winning, all that fun stuff. So if you're interested, guys, use that link, Super Draft Pro link. And I didn't put that in the chat. Sorry, I kind of failed you on that. I'm going to put it in the chat right now. And, yeah. All right, guys. I'm going to get to all your questions here. Let's see. What do we got? Jigga says lock question mark. I don't have a lock of the night, man, because I didn't put my video out earlier. If I had to pick a lock of the night right now, based upon price tag, based upon upside, based upon pace of game, all that stuff, I really like Kyrie Irving on both websites. He's priced at 9.6 on DraftKings. Over here on FanDuel, they've got him priced at 9.8. Now, keep in mind, if I was picking a lock of the night right now, honestly, realistically, it would probably be Jordan Poole on the Golden State Warriors. I just don't want to be that lame and give you guys an obvious play. But, I mean, Kyrie Irving has 50-plus fantasy point upside every single time he takes the floor. We know that. It's a really fast up-tempo game. It's the James Harden and Kyrie Irving show. All the usage is going to flow through them. It's a high-up total game. It's nationally televised, guys. I'm telling you, I've been playing NBA DFS for years now, since 2016, and it seems like anytime it's a nationally televised game, there's just something that kicks in, man. Those stars love the cameras, so definitely would be loading up on some Kyrie Irving tonight. Bomber or Carter, Tap My Life says. That's really tough. If I had to pick with one, I'm going to go with Carter. I think he has a higher fantasy point night, most likely. So I'm going to go with Carter there if you can only pick one. Plus the revenge narrative. You got to factor in. I mean, I actually really do think that plays in here. I mean, Wendell Carter, he was on the Bulls. They gave up on him pretty much. That's just kind of what happens with some of these guys. They don't work out in their homes, and then they ship them off somewhere else. And then typically speaking, whenever they go back to their former homeland, they like to show up and have a big game. So I like Wendell Carter a lot on this slate tonight. AJT says, what do you think of Aaron Holiday starting for Washington? It doesn't really have much relevance for me, man, because going to an Aaron Washington rather than these Golden State Warriors guys for me is kind of a big sacrifice. I like the Warriors guys a lot more. If you can get creative with your lineup builds and have like all these minimum salary guys and be able to fit in like Giannis, Harden, and Jokic or something crazy like that, that's when that becomes a little bit entertaining, and you might want to entertain that. But outside of that, not too intrigued. 6:25 p.m. guys, we got 19 people in here, only 12 likes. Unacceptable. Hit that like button, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. I'll be here all NBA DFS season long, breaking down these slates to help you guys win some money, help you guys become better NBA DFS players, answering all your questions. So would be greatly appreciated if you do hit that like button. It takes 2 seconds. It's free. It greatly helps me out. And thank you for all of your support. But yeah, 6:26, guys. We got like 2 or 3 more minutes for questions if you have any. I just want to make sure I do my last call here so I don't miss any very important questions. If you have a question you really want answered, please do ask it in the chat. And I'll gladly answer it before I head out. But other than that, if you haven't signed up for a premium content package, patreon.com/KJK_DFS. Just launched the prize picks package. You can sign up for the NBA package as well, or you can get the combo package. You'll get both. You get core plays for both prize picks and DraftKings and FanDuel. You get projections for DraftKings and FanDuel with the NBA package. And you get a lot more than that. Trust me. Anyone that's become a Patreon member of mine, I would actually love to hear from a current Patreon member of mine your first reaction when you opened my sheets. If you were expecting all of that, or if you were like, whoa. Because I got like 16 sheets loaded with information, man. All color-coded, all easy to use, all sortable. I definitely aim to kind of provide that wow factor when you open up the document, because obviously I want to provide you guys with as much value as possible. But yeah, let's win some money tonight, guys. I'm wishing you all the best of luck on this slate. It looks like the questions are dying down, so I'm gonna bounce out of here. If you enjoyed this stream, hit that like button before you head out. Sign up for PrizePicks, guys. Sponsor the program of this live stream. Use that promo code KJKDFS. You can also use my link that I'll be put in the chat right now. All these links are linked down below in the description, though. But when you use that promo code, you're gonna get a instant match deposit up to $100 when you sign up for PrizePicks. Time My Life says, never went past the 4th page, LOL. It's a lot. Useful. Yes, sir, Tat. Yeah, exactly, man. I would highly encourage you to explore those other pages, because if you can get dialed in with all those tools and you can figure out the worst team's defensive rebounding, best team's offensive rebounding, and you just look at it every day, and you look at the updates and you see which teams are good and which, at some point, man, you're going to have it memorized in the back of your head like nothing, and you're going to go, oh, the Sacramento Kings, they suck at rebounding, so I'm going to be playing all of the big men against him, and it's going to pay off for you in your tournament lineup. So I put a lot of effort into those tools, so I would highly encourage you to take some time doing that. Patrick says he was excited too. And yeah, Patrick, I appreciate it, man. Patrick, Tap My Life, you guys are always on the stream. Really do appreciate the both of you. Wish you guys all the best of luck. We'll see you in the Discord chat here. I'm going to log off now, sign off this live stream, and I'll be updating the core plays and the projection, guys. So thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed, hit that like button. Wish you all the best of luck tonight, and we'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace.